Oh my God, everyone. Crypto is on fire today. We are witnessing some madness. Wow, look at this wick down. It looks like Bitcoin touched, what is that? $70,119. Welcome, everybody, back into Crypto's News. We have a lot to get into today. Maybe this is the beginning of the end of the bear market. It might appear to be that way. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Stay tuned. It's going to get fun. Okay, well, it looks like my intro video is taking the day off. But thank you everyone for joining me. I invite you to hit that like button. I'm going to be discussing what is going on. This is being called the wildest day in crypto since the big Mt. Gox hack, the second Mt. Gox hack, where we are seeing a huge drop here, broken support levels for Bitcoin. As you can see, it went all the way down to $17,100. And we're not entirely sure if we're done with the bleeding here, although hopefully that is the case. We're seeing bleeding across most coins here. You have Ethereum down 18.7%, down to about 1,300 bucks at $1,304. You have Bitcoin at $18,182 right now after a little bit of a bump up. Right? Is that right? Yep, actually a little bit higher, $18,287. Sorry, I had to refresh there on CoinGecko. You have Binance, which was actually holding up well because of some of the news today, down as well. It's down 7.5%. Although it looks like it went in the wrong direction. First it went up and then it went down. Crazy, crazy indeed, dream catchers. But a wild day. We're down below $1 trillion market cap for cryptocurrencies here, and the bleeding is pretty much across the board. So what is going on here? It's basically a continuation of the story that we've been covering over the last few videos, which is the story related to this article that was first put up by CoinDesk, where they did some reporting that has really brought FTX down to their knees when they did this, talking about how Alameda and FTX basically had $14.6 billion worth of assets as of June 30th. But those assets were basically in funny money. They were in this FTT token that was issued by the exchange itself, FTX. So basically that was most of what was in the balance sheet. They were using almost all that money to lure in investors, raising through many rounds and pretending like they had actual cash or independent assets like solid crypto or a fiat currency, when it was nothing but that coin. And so as this news started to break out, there were real questions about insolvency related to FTX and Alameda. So you started to have these huge withdrawals that started to take place. You had FTX, as you can see here, which had about $6 billion in withdrawals in 72 hours. $6 billion as these revelations started to come to light. So this big player who had been naming stadiums, who had been trying to bail out the space, try to formulate regulations for this space in DC, suddenly looking really, really unstable. Then it came out just today that FTX early this morning had stopped processing withdrawals. We already talked about yesterday how there were situations where people were waiting 4 hours for withdrawals, so they were already throttling withdrawals. Then they completely stopped processing those on-chain withdrawals for Ethereum, Solana, and Tron at about 2:30 a.m. this morning. So what is going on here? Why are people bringing up these memes of kissing the ring, bowing before the king? Why is Ryan Sean Adams tweeting out, "Remind me never to cross CZ, Stone Cold Killer," the CEO of Binance, CZ? Well, we know why, and that's because CZ tweeted this out this afternoon. FTX asked for our help. There is a significant liquidity crunch to protect users. We signed a non-binding letter of intent, LOI, intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover the liquidity crunch. We will be conducting a full due diligence in the coming days. There's a lot to cover and it will take some time. This is a highly dynamic situation and we are assessing the situation in real time. Binance has the discretion to pull out from the deal at any time. So you might be hearing that Binance is buying FTX. Not true. There is the possibility right now for contagion. There is a possibility for more and more companies, trading desks to be going down. There could be significant more downside. That's why I said this could be the beginning of the end of the bear market at the beginning of this video, because we could still be seeing some downside. You have to mitigate yourself. You have to be careful. That's kind of why I've been covering this FTX story, because while some were saying, look, FTX looks completely solvent, there's very little chance that something could go wrong. When you see these kinds of bank runs begin, and you did look at these issues with their balance sheet, you could see that this could easily cascade and quickly do things happen in crypto now, especially after what happened with Three Arrows Capital, with Luna, Celsius, Voyager. People are really scared and are quick to pull triggers and withdraw from exchanges like this, and this can cause solvency issues by itself, despite the other problems that FTX seems to have had. But anyway, Binance has a discretion to pull out from this deal of acquiring acquiring FTX at any time. They wrote, or CZ wrote, we expect FTT, that token, to be highly volatile in the coming days as things develop. Good thing that they didn't buy at $22 yesterday, right? Or 2 days ago. Stay safe, said CZ. And this was confirmed by Sam Bankman-Fried, the head of FTX Alameda. Hey, I have a few announcements to make. Things have come full circle, and FTX.com's first and last investors are the same. We have come to an agreement on a strategic transaction with Binance for FTX.com, again, pending due diligence. Binance is going to be looking at what is actually going on under the covers over at FTX. And if they don't like it, they might not go through with the deal. This is something that you saw FTX do in the past when they looked at Celsius' balance sheet and they saw that there was a $2 billion hole and they backed out of that deal. So, I mean, this is throwing everything into, I think, chaos right now. There's all sorts of questions. What is going on here with Voyager, right? SBF was going to bail out Voyager. People were going to create accounts at FTX.com and be able to get back, I don't know, 72% maybe of what they lost at Voyager over at FTX. But now if FTX goes under, how does this change things? I don't know. So much is up in the air right now. Our teams are working on clearing out the withdrawal backlog as is, row SBF. This will clear out liquidity crunches. All assets will be covered one for one. This is one of the main reasons we've asked Binance to come in. It may take a bit to settle, etc. We apologize for that. So this is one of the main reasons we asked Binance to come in. Why? Because you want to cover assets one for one. So does that mean that you were not whole, that you did not have assets one for one? Were you lending out users' funds? But the important thing is that customers are protected. I don't know. It looks like they may be protected. Doesn't look like a guarantee right now from what I'm seeing here. A huge thank you to CZ, Binance, and all of our supporters. This is a user-centric development that benefits the entire industry. CZ has done and will continue to do an incredible job of building out the global crypto ecosystem and creating a freer economic world. Wow, there it is. Kissing the ring, bending before the king. I know that there have been rumors in media of a conflict between our two exchanges. However, Binance has shown time and time again that they are committed to a more decentralized global economy than we are. While working to improve industry relations with regulators, we are in the best of hands. It's almost like everyone who is swimming naked during the bear market will be revealed as such. Whoa. Now, note that FTX.US and Binance US, two separate companies, are not currently impacted by this. FTX US's withdrawals are and have been live and is fully backed one for one and operating normally. I don't know what you guys thinking. This is crazy. It's kind of SBF went after DeFi via regulation, quickly gets wrecked. DeFi working just fine. Yeah, and it's going to continue to be the case where you have like centralized exchanges and maybe some of these other trading desks involved right now. we'll see what if they're able to hold up as well. But these smart contracts are still working just fine, and and working as automated in order to ensure normal operation. So good point there, Skynet. Make it make sense, crypto. It doesn't make sense, DMH. It happens so quickly that I think we're all really trying to wrap our heads around it. I think the only thing that makes sense again is that CZ seems to have just run a better business, whereas others are pointing out played a better game of chess here versus Sam. But unfortunately, it's bringing us all down here. That's why we should have always minded our leaders. And it was very clear to me, just looking at the way SBF ran, how he traded, how he operated his business, looking at some of his background, the things he said about DeFi, that he was not really going to be the best option to follow as a leader. Unfortunately, he accrued just quite a position as a leader in this space, and now we have to face the fallout of all that. So I think some of this was summed up by this thread here by Wasi Lawyer. Okay, so just processing this out loud because I'm pretty mind blown that FTX chose of all options a buyout from Binance. These were, I mean, wasn't it just yesterday that SBF was tweeting out that there was FUD being created by competitors and now the competitor is the biggest cooperator? So these were the options open to SBF. A, seek emergency debt financing. B, seek new money investment. Or C, liquidate assets. Or D, buy time via seeking bankruptcy protection to facilitate A and C. Sam has chosen to seek a bailout from Binance, the very party that has triggered the bank run in the first place. What we can gather from this is that FTX was indeed lending out customer funds to other parties, likely to Alameda. This means that, as I speculated earlier, FTX was working on a fractional reserve model. I thought we were trying to move away from that, where it was not prepared to meet withdrawals on the bank run, which CZ triggered on FTX. When he basically announced that he was going to offload all of Binance's holding of FTT tokens that they had from an earlier equity funding of FTX. So they kind of brought FTX up and just as quickly shattered it. In order to meet these bank runs, FTX needed to unwind its Alameda loans. Alameda itself did not have the liquidity to return the funds to FTX, thus leading to it liquidating whatever liquid assets it could and returning whatever it could so that FTX could try to continue to meet the withdrawals. But this was not enough since customer confidence was not returning. There were no deposits, only withdrawals. So some sort of external third-party funding was required to meet the cash flows. Instead of seeking finance from any other party or buying more time by throttling withdrawals or seeking a moratorium, SBF bent the knee to Binance. Does this mean that FTX was in such a deep hole that we weren't talking about an emergency swing line, but full-on rescue financing? Rescue financing would have been incredibly expensive, which means SBF didn't believe that FTX would be able to meet those financing costs. SBF also didn't think that buying time via a process like Chapter 11 would have done any good. The conclusion? FTX must have had a massive hole in its balance sheet, likely Alameda, that could not be plugged by other financiers, which forced SBF to kiss the ring. But what now? CZ is only buying FTX, which means a liability likely owing from Alameda to FTX remains. That's a huge risk here right now. So customers are going to be made whole because CZ is plugging that gap. But FTX under new management will surely be looking to recover the outstanding amounts from Alameda. Are we now looking at a potential Alameda insolvency scenario? That's enough excitement for one night. Going to go to sleep and see what spicy colorful word comes out of this. Can't wait to see the details of the Alameda FTX relationship. Adam Cochran wrote this, hearing about certain desks, entities going under here, but can't yet confirm, not with user funds. Don't worry. If you have any insights or proof, DMs are open for Adam Cochran. You can let me know as well if you'd like to. Frank Chaparro was also trying to figure out how this impacts other investors that might be involved with this. And I'm not just talking about retail, I'm talking about the players here who might be due some of these funds from Alameda or FTX. I've spoke with several employees of FTX and investors. They're all completely in the dark, unfortunately. Sad day for our industry. So this is something the market and the industry is really trying to understand, but it's a confusing situation. And that kind of uncertainty is a lot of what's probably causing these dips. Although it looks like we got a little bit of a green wick here on the 4-hour for Bitcoin right now. CZ did say that he does hope to operate more transparently. We were hearing more calls against centralized exchanges and calls for DeFi, right? CZ did at least say this: all crypto exchanges should do Merkle tree proof of reserves. Banks run on fractional reserves. Crypto exchanges should not. Binance will start to do proof of reserves soon. Full transparency. So it may be becoming more clear to him that FTX was running on proof of reserves. Let's just hope he goes through with that deal, because Goblin Town could be a little bit lower down the ladder if that's not the case. Anyway, FTT token, of course, as you might expect, definitely fell below $22 into Goblin Town. It has pretty much continued to plummet. I guess it's going to be Binance Arena rather than FTX Arena in Miami now, right? And Coinbase had some issues earlier on. They were being called into question as well. Like, should I withdraw my funds from Coinbase as well? I mean, really, if you want to be completely safe, you withdraw from any centralized exchange. That's why we used to have proof of keys day back in the day, which was, I think, January 13th. But in the fervor, in the euphoria of the last 2 years worth of somewhat bull market, I guess you could say, during the summer of DeFi and then the summer of NFTs, which is the big one, proof of keys day, where everyone removes their crypto from exchanges, just kind of stopped really happening. It might be because Trace Mayer, the guy who started it, left crypto. Maybe that played a role in it, but it's something people are talking about now. So anyway, there were all sorts of Coinbase services that were down, but a fix has been implemented, and as far as I can tell, Coinbase is working just fine. They do have to report to the SEC. They have a huge balance sheet, and they're really the only safe rival to Binance right now. People have verified on chain that Binance does have billions upon billions of dollars worth of ETH, and they seem to be just fine, which is why CZ would be fine having some sort of transparency, even though he doesn't have to do that because they're not a public company like we are seeing with Coinbase. But yeah, Coinbase so far, from what I can tell, is fine. So don't read too much into that, FUD. This, as others are pointing out, here's Ivan on Tech, could be what takes us really to the bottoms here of this bear market. This is the final boss, final nuke, wrote Ivan on Tech. And I leave you really here with this quote of the day, which is, sunlight is the best disinfectant. I think we have to give it to Dirty Bubble Media, give it up to CoinDesk, who uncovered what was going on with FTX here. They got a little bit too big for their britches. They overextended their reach, and when push came to shove, it just turned out they were not a good player at all, perhaps, here. And it does seem to be the case. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. This is a crazy day. As I mentioned, this is unfolding as we speak. The news is just piling in. And surely before the week is over, we're going to hear some other crazy things. It's only Tuesday, but it feels like the news cycle is only getting faster. So take care, guys. Stay safe out there. Have your own proof of keys if you are concerned about anything. Usually the best way to go. Keep exchanges honest. Trust DeFi more than CeFi for these kinds of reasons. This is what we talk about. And I think there are going to be some really good buying opportunities here. If you've been waiting for them, it looks like that time may indeed be near. And June may not have been the bottom. It does appear to be the case. We will be finding that, I imagine, probably shortly. That would be my best guess. Anyways, take care, everyone. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.